A writer's brief or a content brief provides clarity and focus for the writer, ensuring the delivery of a quality content piece. Clarity and focus. Let's remember that for this video, okay? A quality brief will also unify the outcomes of SEO, editorial, and brand strategies. It will set up expectations clearly. It will assist the writer in research and production, and it will save on time and stress in the editing process. But what happens if you're producing 30, 50, 100 articles at once, a very short period of time? How do you ensure that a quality content brief is delivered to every single writer? Can that person who's creating that brief, whether it's your editor or just you as a founder or you as a marketer, how many of them are you going to be creating? 30, 50, 100? No, that person, even if you're a machine, cannot do that. And I speak from experience because so have I tried it. But when the team at Content Distribution faced this challenge when we started publishing a lot of pages, we solved it with a process document that I'll be breaking down for you today. And we call it the Content Series Template. Hello, everyone. My name is Boyan. I'm Director of SEO at Content Distribution. In this video, on an original made from scratch example, I'll show you how our amazing editorial team creates this document. I will also share all of the info regarding this process so you can create it for your own team and your own production efforts. We ready for liftoff? Let's go. All right. So this is the content series template example that I've created for you guys with my amazing team of editors who usually do this. They're much better at this than me. Thanks, guys. We're going to work on an example of a content series template for CBD and anxiety-related disorders. You're probably wondering, I should have topics that I need to write the content brief for, right? If you're wondering that, you're absolutely correct. And that's something that I'm going to show you in a moment. But before that, I want to tell you, I want to show you why this content series template will always work. Well, it's because we took 4 projects from 0 to 100 organic visitors per month in the past 2 years. The biggest one is over 500,000 in month 17. And we use the same process and set of processes for all of these projects. And I'm going to share a lot of that with you today. That process is propped up by our content production philosophy, which is pretty straightforward. We have a battle-tested and data-driven keyword grouping process, which is automated by our in-house tool, ClusterAi. Now, that's exactly from where I get my topics. What you see here is a keyword opportunity analysis. If you want to see how I created this keyword opportunity analysis for CBD, oil, and anxiety-related disorders content silo series of articles, which we were creating the content brief, aka content series template for, check out the previous video or just have a look at the link will be in the description of this video. So what I received was a keyword opportunity analysis where each row represents a possible topic for a certain page or an article, right? The next thing I did, also with the help of my team, of course, is to select the topics that we are going to target. And that's what you see here in the green color coding. You might be wondering, how do we do this? Well, we go through all of the topics and we go really down the line, all the way to where aggregated search volume, monthly search volume of the main keyword and variations will reach somewhere around 500. There is 50 topics that we selected for this content series that we want to write for. As you can see, there's a lot of various topics. You can absolutely receive this grouping. There's going to be a link in the description. You can also check it out in the previous video, so you can inspect it for yourself. For those of you who've noticed that there's a column A, that's something that after the topic selection, what we did, we go and then we look at the topics that we selected that we want to target. I'm going to do it just like this to show you. These are the 50 articles that we're going to write about, 50 something. There's a couple of product pages, more on that later, perhaps even in the next video. But what I see then is when I look at the topics that are relevant to what I want to target in my content series, I decide on what they need to be. So as you can see, I have a couple of ultimate guides because these are huge, very broad topics, huge in that manner. And I want to, as a new website that's just pumping out content, I want to build my authority as well. So I'm going to have certain informational stuff that I want to rank on in a certain at a certain point. Really big ones are, CBD oil for sleep, for anxiety, then the best CBD oil for anxiety, then for depression and so on. What is CBD oil? That's a huge informational guide. So this is really top of the funnel stuff. But then I have a bunch of informational content, blogs, which are also top of the funnel, which might be interesting for my audience because I am in this simulation selling edibles and other products, CBD related products. All straightforward. CBD and PTSD, can I have nausea, hair loss? I have some things that are related here. You see, I did just the anxiety research, but then got a lot of interesting other symptoms and keywords, as I mentioned already three times, more on that in the previous video. Let's go back. The second second pillar of our production philosophy is having consistency in producing quality content. And this is what we actually secure with creating content series templates. And that's the topic of our talk today. The last thing is high content production velocity. And when people ask me, what does that mean? It means publish as fast as you can. But I want to give you a context. The first project, which we led over 100 K organics per month, was actually one of our earliest in-house projects where we bought a new website in the dog niche and in the pet niche, sorry. And we published 200 pages with 2,000 to 2,500 words per page in 6 months. And that propelled us to over 100K organics in just 13 months. So that is kind of a reference point. Is it going to depend on the niche or market you're competing in? Yes, it is. But this is a very interesting reference point in terms of like how fast things rank or not. All right. Now, here's another thing that's really important to contextualize everything. When you look at how Doggypedia stacked up against other competitors in the space, a really interesting metric here is what is the efficiency? So what is the traffic per page count? As you can see, we have been there with a lot of them, right? With almost everybody here. Hill's Pet is 1.3 million with 1,500 pages, but their efficiency is at 872, and we're right there with 570, right? So what does that mean? We're able to achieve this because we don't have any kind of guesswork is eliminated when we talk about targeting. When you talk about targeting which topics we want to do, and that's exactly what I was talking about in terms of like understanding the broader picture of your opportunity, looking through everything through keyword research, and then choosing topics this way. Then you're left with creating one or multiple content series templates. It depends on how many verticals you're targeting. But here we're going to do this for, let's go back. Just remember, this is for CBD anxiety related disorders. Next thing that we do is the author of the creator of this content series template will research the main keywords and have a look what the competition is doing. But that person is going to do something much more interesting. They're not going to just check out what is happening with the competition and then copy and paste similar H2s so that we can do everything what everybody else is doing, but they are going to actually realize while doing research, where does the content gap appear? What is the added value that we can create? And that is what content series template does. It doesn't just look at the average stuff here. We take it into account, but the most important thing is to understand, to write a content brief for all of these articles that will help the writers produce higher quality content. All right, cool. Let's run through this. Let's do a quick run through of this content series template. It's going to be in the description. You can get it for yourself and then ask me any kind of questions that you have. Super happy to talk about this some more. Very excited. All right. We're going to have writing requirements, which are quite technical, as you can see. We're going to have basic info and examples of competitions. Sorry. Then we're going to have structurized instructions, which talk about plagiarism, structure, keywords, linking, and then we have glossary at the very end as well. And I'm going to do a deep dive into this. Remember, this is something that a writer receives. This is what we're talking about. Everything that you see here are instructions for the writer. They're not instructions for you as an editor or a creator of this document. So again, plagiarism, structure of the article, talk about keywords, external and internal links, with examples and instructions for each and every one of them. Here's glossary. Then we have this very important section that we learned that is interesting to have in every content series template, and that is to emphasize the most important things before a writer starts writing. It's called Know Before You Go. Quite accordingly, it's gonna talk about. It's going to tell the writer the most important things about some technical things like a word count. It's going to tell them how to, what to remember in terms of research, and then maybe something that's brand or content sensitive. And then we get to the main. Main event. And this is the main part of the content series template. This is where we actually. This is where editors quite meticulously create a structure that can be applied and used as an inspiration and direction for each and every of those 50 that you see here articles that are going to be written as part of this content series. This is remember, this is a simulation. Some things might be possible to be done broader. We have certain content series templates that are pages and pages long, but through this one, I'm going to explain to you how, through this one, you're going to see all of the important elements. So we're going to have everything important about an H1 and then the intro. And then we're going to literally, through everything we've learned by researching the main keywords, after we selected the topics that you've seen earlier on, we're going to go through, we're going to list the possible H2s and possible structures and talk about how they can be implemented for all of the articles in the series. So this is one content brief for 50 articles. It's not 50. It's not even 10. And it's quite interesting. It has. So one H2 is going to be, what is a certain disorder? Then what is CBD, or how can it help with certain disorder? We're going to have suggestions for some other H2s. We're going to talk about benefits, side effects. We're going to talk about instructions regarding the FAQ section. And that's basically it. Like I said, it can be longer, but through these examples, I want to show you everything that you might come across when you are creating such a thing for yourself. All right. Now, there's really a lot to take in here, right? Like, you're thinking, is this guy going to read out the template? I mean, would be nice to have certain instructions for you to write. Well, I have that for you. And I'm going to share that with you as well, but let's light it up and go through it together. All right. To move this here. Okay, here we go. Boom, this is the first page that you saw. This is the exact same document, but just with a markup where I want to help you understand what each and every section is. Let's run through this thing together. And if you're wondering, the answer is yes. I know what you're asking. Can you have this PDF? Absolutely. You're going to have it together with the document as an example. All right. So the writing requirements. We went through the research. We went through the topics, looked at the competition through the topics that we selected, and then thought about our budget and how fast we want to publish. And we decided that we're going to need 2,000 words per each of these articles. Could it be better? And could it be like, I don't know, 4,000, 5,000, perhaps? But this is our starting point, and this is how we want to go through all of this. Not because that is the average number of what people are doing. It is because that is going to be the word count that the writers are going to need, because we know that because we've done the research up front. All right, cool. An interesting thing, remember, so the orange boxes are just for you. They're not for writers. These requirements are assimilation, but we often say these things: 3 bullets, 3 numbered lists, 2 tables. Why? Well, that's a great way to ensure that these elements are not omitted, because we want them. They're very high value and low effort to produce pieces of content, and nice to digest for readers. And the implementation of them will not be done if it doesn't make sense. But us pushing for this as a requirement has secured that we have these things in each and every article. All right. Now, info and examples. This is a part I want you to let me know in the comments if you want me to do something like this. But for us, we would use this section to explain the audience persona and the project that we are working on, whether our clients or our own internal one. This would have internal links to customer and audience personas. It would have a digested version of the product or a service that we're promoting. This is why I left the example as is here: name, product type, pricing, chemical composition, CBD dosage, so you can have a sense of what this actually means. This is a great place to insert your unique selling proposition, so writers can understand how something is different to the competition. Because in the next part, we talk about the competition in terms of organic traffic acquisition. So this is this is our competition in ranking, not necessarily brand competition, if that makes sense. If you have a specific angle and a clearly defined tone you want the writers to use, this is where you put this in, and this is the instruction that you give to the writers through the examples of the things that you want to use. As you can see here, each topic is going to be specific. This is now an instruction for the writer. So don't expect examples to be helpful for every single article, and treat the template as a general framework rather than something you just follow blindly. I've started here a counter with the red arrow. You're probably guessing already what it is, but we're gonna just count those similar sentences and then talk some more. Sorry about that. Talking the entire day, and nothing closely as interesting as this. All right. Another thing that we added at the very beginning is this is an extension that we're currently using, because not all of the writers are in the United States. They're going to need to see the SERPs exactly. Not all of them necessarily have access to HS or SEMrush. So in order to have the exact view of the first and the second page of Google search engine result pages, this is an interesting thing that we add right there if you're wondering. So nothing crucial. All right. Now, we expect our writers to do the research for the keyword and variations thoroughly, to see, to have inspiration for starting points, not to look at patterns. And that is something that we ask for because we have done that research and then created a dynamic pattern, which you've seen in the main section of the content series template, if that makes sense. Let's go to the next section. All right. In terms of plagiarism, it is important that plagiarism or anything else that revolves around the editorial policy. For us, this is a very important part. It's important to set expectations from the very start. And that is that we value only original content. Here, we link to our editorial policy, which is huge. If you want to consider doing the same, that will be something that each writer will have access to. And it's important that they're always reminded of these things, because that's something that will make the quality consistent. Let's go to the structure part. All right. Here's a counter again. You should think of this template as a general framework, not the mandatory H2s you must follow. Let's remember that for a second here. What we do in the structure part is remind writers to understand that the variations grouped together with the main keyword is something that they might want to incorporate in H2s and H3s. Now, I want to emphasize something really important. We don't care about keyword stuffing. The reason that we emphasize keyword variations being part of H2s and H3s of a certain article is because we have gone through all of the variations that we have gotten from ClusterAi. And we know that there are keywords grouped together which have a slightly different angle, albeit the same intent as the main keyword. And that is actually going to help a writer understand how to create a certain paragraph and structure their article, apart from, of course, this template. The same thing goes for keywords. We remind writers every time that the main keywords should be just used in the meta title, descriptions, H1, and intro. Everything else, and that needs to be checked before submitting the first draft, everything else is something that they should not obsess about. So we want a correct form of a keyword. If there are keywords group that have British spelling and we're targeting US market, we don't want to have a British spelling. We want to capitalize letters. We even want to slightly change keywords if that is something that will allow for better high quality content. We don't want just things dispersed everywhere. And these are general guidelines. Each writer will have the main keyword and variation as they start. They will receive that. And that's something that you're going to see in the next video, where I actually go deep into an article that is written by a writer according to this template. Okay. External links. This is a very important thing because there are certain websites, most notably competitors, which we don't want to rank to, but we do want to have high quality content. That means that you should have external links that help people. In this current situation, the series, we decided to start to rely only on higher authority websites. And that's why we're going to use .gov and .org to understand, because this is a sensitive topic. You're selling something and you want your readers to understand that you understand that product and everything that's related to it, especially when you're talking about a topic which is sensitive as mental health. All right. Number 5 is a big one. It's really important. And that's something, let me know in the comments if you might want me to make a separate video about it. I'm absolutely going to do it at a certain point when I have enough data to show you what we do exactly. But here is something that if you're gonna have a takeaway from this video, that should be this. We have a list of mandatory internal links. Why? If I have 50 articles that I know that I'm going to be producing and publishing, what is exactly stopping me from creating internal links as soon as possible? Nothing. There's nothing stopping me. I just need to communicate that properly. I don't want to have any more. There's no need for more expenses in post-publishing optimization if you know exactly what you're going to be internally linking during this series. That's why the writers have an entire series to work on, and they know all of the other topics that are in this silo or series or vertical, whatever you want to call it. What is important is that internal links make it that. Internal links make a series be a silo, both for the readers and both for the search engine to understand. But we want to be smart about it. We want to link things that are relevant for our audience and for our potential customer. So what we're going to have here is, you can go back to the list of keywords that I'm also going to be sharing with you and check out why we chose these, but they are pillar or money pages. So we're going to have really broad topics linked in every article. That means that CBD oil for anxiety. What is CBD oil? Is CBD oil legal? For depression, how to choose. This is a really nice money page. And the difference between hemp, because that's something we're not using on our website. So we want to educate our potential customers about it. And then we have full spectrum CBD oil as an important topic for us as well. That means that at the point of publishing, these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 internal links are going to appear in 50 places. And that is very important for establishing a pillar, but they're not going to be the only internal links. Here's another very important thing, and I'm going to dive into it in the next page. We don't want internal links to be forced, but we do want them to be contextual because they are worthwhile for your reader. They're more important, and they are something that's going to help you actually establish a silo out of these 50 articles instead of just being whatever. This is why we don't hunt for backlinks. These are our backlinks. All right. Here we are going to provide examples of some other internal links that can be used. And that is really important for you to emphasize in your template. Strive to use as many internal links as possible, but the context and the natural flow of the article are priorities. We don't want stuff to be just shoved in. It's not going to work. It's not going to do any good to the reader. And that's why we have this interesting instruction about anchor text. We want to have the main keyword of the targeted article is the anchor text of the internal link. That would be an ideal situation. Not because I believe that that's going to prop up those keywords, but because I believe that if you give this instruction, you're going to get more relevant you're going to get more relevant anchor text instead of just linking willy-nilly whatever. If it's not possible, it doesn't make sense, you can check out the keyword variations. You can use the keyword variation as an anchor text, the keyword variation of the targeted article that you're linking to, because that's something we have access also to. Why wouldn't we use it? And then finally, you can rephrase it, but the anchor still needs to refer to the topic of the linked or targeted article. So insisting on using keywords as anchor text resulted for us in writers being better in contextual internal linking and lowered the number of random anchor texts, such as you cannot, if we're talking about a, let's say, page that is related to, let's say we have a series that that's geo-sensitive and we have 50 articles for 50 different states. There shouldn't be an internal link to Washington or Florida, anywhere that word appears. It should be related to what's targeted on that page. And that's something that might sound quite reasonable to you, but it doesn't have to be logical to every writer. And that's why you have to emphasize that. The glossary is something that we have been adding quite recently. Well, maybe even not recently. But anyways, this is a really, really low effort from your side, and it has high value because writers are going to understand the topicality better. They're going to understand the entire broader niche, and they are going to be able to use synonyms seamlessly, which is also very nice. Now, here's what we said in Know Before You Go. Keep in mind the targeted word count, so to plan accordingly, so we don't lose anything, because what we found when we were looking at these 50 keywords is that there's a lot of information. There's a lot of broad topics. There's a lot of interesting things that are already ranking, and we want to be able to give something more instead of just rewriting what what's there. And we don't want writers to get in a situation where they hit their goal, but they have not hit their word count objective, but they haven't hit their goal in terms of writing an article. That's why we say refrain from over explaining. Is it something that the reader will benefit from? If there is, make it shorter and then link to the relevant article. Always rely on your keyword to do the research. And finally, this is try to emphasize the most important messaging right before the main section of the content brief for content series template. And that is that the research is somewhat limited and most studies are conducted on animals. This is very important for a website that's only building authority in a certain niche. You cannot say that something is better than something officially prescribed for these disorders. You cannot say that this is something that needs to be treated. We're not giving medical advice. We're just saying, here's all of the information. This is where we are, and this is our product, because we believe that that is something that's going to drive conversions, not also allow us to rank. Let's go to the main section. All right. Let's have a look at the introduction. So the intro shouldn't be longer than 150 words. Again, something that we realized doing research and is a good general practice. There should be an informative, nice intro, but it shouldn't be super long. This is why we give that kind of instruction. Give the most clearest instructions you can give, but anticipate possible issues. There should be the main keyword introduction, but this is a good place to put in some more general topics. This is where we build the cluster, the topical cluster, or a silo. For more general or topic related internal links, but that's something that you should not force. Avoid cramming all of your most required links into one paragraph, or even worse, in one sentence. This is something we have been seeing, and that's what we are anticipating, especially when we know what their topics are going to be, right? Next, H2 is a great illustration of the structure of each H2 in your content series template. Start with clearly conveying the point of this heading or this paragraph. Then expand with examples on how to create it. Then wrap up with the purpose of this heading. And then give the technical advice that can be used across the article. So if you're writing an article about a chronic disorder, this should be your first H2, super clear. If you're writing a top of the funnel CBD focused articles, CBD oil legal, THC free CBD oil, you should skip it. Bam. Then we continue on how to use it if it's about disorder. Remember, this is the biggest number of topics that we're going to have. We're going to mention different disorders in this vertical. Then we say you should describe you shouldn't describe the chronic disorder at length, but we do want to inform the reader about the relationship between, let's say, anxiety or not being able to, insomnia, sorry, not being able to sleep. Jesus. All right. Now, this is an interesting one. This is the second one. This is the added value we haven't been seeing anywhere when we were looking. Does CBD help with that certain chronic disorder? This is where you engage with the reader right away in the third paragraph. There's that counter again. Don't write about all of the items mentioned above for every article, and don't make this section too long. All right. Now, we give a selection for next H2s for chronic condition focused topics, right? If you're writing a chronic condition related topic, please include the two H2s below, but they're not if they're not writing about that, right? So can CBD help with a certain disorder? So we're expanding on this one here. And then we talk about the symptoms that CBD can help alleviate pain from, or benefits of CBD for that certain disorder. These are just suggestions. writers are the ones who do, according to maybe a keyword variation, even if that's logical, to do a more creative H2 title itself. And it's quite clear. Go deeper in the beneficial properties of CBD products for particular disorder. How do they affect people, and so on and so on. Then we have other H2 suggestions. Benefits, possible side effects. This is something that we found can be located in content, which is ranking for these keywords, content that is, in our opinion, a bit better. And that's why we want to have this. For certain other topics, this was not the case. And we really want to emphasize this is what our audience persona is interested in, as our research showed when we were looking at keywords. Here's that counter again. This is number 4. Use this H2 only if you're writing about general top of the funnel topic, such as what is CBD, full spectrum CBD oil, and so on and so on. So what was I counting here? We have 4 notifications of telling the writer not to use this as a just general pattern that they should replicate. And that is really important. This is an inspiration to write a good article. That is how we get to a place where we can actually create added value and give the reader what they cannot find in the competition. And that is how we rank. Make sure to once in a while promote contextual internal linking everywhere you can. This is something we will write we oftenly write in different parts of content series template. It's a great place to add links. We would even add examples if that is something that can happen. The next thing is, again, depending on the topic you're writing about, it might make perfect sense to have an FAQ section, but it doesn't have to be necessarily an FAQ section. Here we are actually stimulating the writers to give in this article something that, again, is not in other articles. This is something that takes the quality of the content over the top instead of just copying what everybody else is doing. Rarely any topic will answer all of the questions in the H3s below. Still, and this is very important, just because somebody is searching for CBD for anxiety doesn't mean they don't want answers to other questions. And that is a great way for them to provide the readers with this with information. So this is a way for you to use the content series template for direction of an entire parts of the article. We do this multiple times in one content series template. We have done it just once here to demonstrate to you. But what we would actually do is have a even longer list of H3s from which the writers can select from, because we know the topics up front. And then we say, oh, okay, choose what relates to the main topic. Is that something that a person is interested in? Because that way we can provide, again, additional value that's not somewhere else. I feel like a broken record, but that's really a point I want to, should make a counter of how many times I've said that as well. And there are also, the purpose of this is we have realized that there's a lot of long tail questions in keyword variations, something that's like people also ask, right? But that can be found in the people also ask section, sorry. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we should create just one page with all of those questions, right? I mean, that does not a topical cluster make. But if you're writing about a certain topic, let's say CBD oil side effects on kidneys, maybe some of these H3s that we suggested and other ones, these are just examples, can actually provide with interesting answers to what is related to the topic. So what types of CBD products are there and how to use them is going to be a different answer for this question in an article that's about kidneys. And then it's going to be a different one in anxiety. And it's going to be formulated differently by the writer because they have their variations, because they have their own research. And then you're actually in a position where you can talk about relevant stuff. This is why this is the way we formulate the potential FAQ section. Now, one final thought is what I want to end with is company product promotion. If we have found that, or for a service, but here we have found that it's interesting to have the writers do these kinds of CTAs for different products because they are more naturally embedded in the text. So they will either make a list of products or create a table with specifications and so on. I'll show you an example when in the next video when we do an article. We have found that this is a much more engaging section for the reader than just having related products module, which you can put on your page, which absolutely you should. There might be one in the sidebar, but this is an interesting thing because it can then again relate as a solution directly to the topic that you're writing about. So if you end up ranking for CBD oil side effects on kidneys, you can actually have a couple of products here that actually in their description feature proof of not showing any side effects on kidneys, if that's something that you have in your stock, if that makes sense. And you can just fill in the blanks on your own. Depending on what the topic is, there is an interesting way not to just promote the product that you're selling, but actually give a person a solution that is going to lift up the conversion rates. Finally, we have also found that here's a little note for you at the very end, this is a great opportunity to repurpose content. If writers create a bit salesy, and if we have writers create salesy paragraphs or CTA-like paragraphs for certain products, that is something that can be then used to make infographics, to make any kind of assets for your PPC campaigns and so on, because you are going to have, short CTAs and tables that you can redistribute. You're going to have 50 different ones from each of these articles, and you can actually create some interesting content. All right. Thanks so much for sticking till the end. Please find all of the relevant links and assets in the description. Shoot me questions in the comments, either on YouTube or Facebook. I'm really excited to answer all of them. I appreciate your time. If you found this video useful, consider liking it or sharing it with a person who can use it. And if you want to see more, hit subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. This is just the beginning. Peace.